Good evening. Welcome to North West Tonight with Becky Barr
and Roger Johnson. Our top story. A Manchester policeman criticises his force for wasting public money investigating its own officers.
A serving police officer with more than 30 years' service claims his force is wasting public money investigating its own officers instead of catching criminals. Chief Superintendent Lee Bruckshaw was accused of perverting the course of justice.
But with the criminal investigation dropped and his misconduct hearing called off, he's speaking out. Lee Bruckshaw says the whole thing's been an expensive shambles. He's been talking to our social affairs correspondent, Claire Fallon.
In the uniform he says should be a symbol of honesty and integrity, a police officer who's lost faith in the police force he serves. This interview is effectively his very public resignation from Greater Manchester Police. You're wearing your police uniform today. Are you going to carry on as a serving cop?
No, I'm not. I wanted to retire last September, but I wasn't going to retire. I'm not going to retire until my good name's restored. Hopefully by doing this and by publicising what's gone on, my name can be restored. And then I can go and hang my hat up.
This file here is essentially the case against you, isn't it?
Yes.
Chief Superintendent Lee Bruckshaw claims his police force wasted £500,000 of public money investigating allegations against him, which he says were trumped up. He was accused of trying to pervert the course of justice. If proved guilty, he could have been jailed. The allegation was that he tried to get prosecutors to drop a case against another police officer, that he attempted to influence them by sending an email telling them about his colleague's terminally ill child.
I stand by what I did. In fact, my barrister said a lot of judges would commend me for doing what I did. Because as we saw, months later, he was acquitted of these offences.
While facing a criminal investigation by his own force, the detective chosen to investigate Lee Bruckshaw was a police officer he'd removed from CID in the past. He saw that as a problem, but documents show the man who's now Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police didn't.
The Chief Constable's at the heart of this. The whole thing was a shambles. He knew this and he ploughed on with it.
What have you said to the Chief Constable about this? Have you had a conversation with him?
I contacted the Chief Constable last week because this went from perverting the course of justice, which is life imprisonment, to management advice, which is a slap on the back of the hand, which incidentally I don't feel I deserve. So I contacted the Chief Constable via an ACC last week and said, now that this has come to what it has, after 31 years, will you, Chief Constable, say something publicly about me? Will you say that Lee Bruckshaw's honesty and integrity were never in question? Will you say that your own barrister said he acted with the best of intentions? The answer to that was no, we won't. Now that, I think, is a very sad indictment of a man who purports to have integrity and honesty at the heart of what he does.
You clearly don't have a particularly good opinion of Ian Hopkins.
I've seen some very impressive Chief Constables in Greater Manchester Police, some very, very impressive ones. He's not up there with them, let's say that.
For a senior serving police officer to be so critical of a Chief Constable so publicly is unusual. But according to this soon-to-be ex-police officer, it's his duty to speak out. We asked Ian Hopkins to respond to the criticisms. Greater Manchester Police gave us a statement. It says, GMP accepts the investigation was not carried out in the effective manner that we always aspire to, and it took too long to reach the eventual conclusion. They say there'll be a full review.
There are better things for Manchester detectives to be doing than running around with nonsense like this. It's almost as if to prove they have high ethical standards, the force will put massive investment into investigating very minor issues for junior officers. But for senior officers, or very senior officers, it just gets brushed under the carpet.
Claire Fallon there with that report. We had hoped to speak to Greater Manchester's Police and Crime Commissioner Tony Lloyd to respond to the issues raised by Chief Superintendent Bruckshaw there, but he declined our invitation.